All right, hello. We are getting started with week one of our online course, transitioning to that. Again, if you watch the intro video, I'm going to ask that you guys are just flexible and patient as we all adjust to a new style of learning and teaching for the next couple weeks. As you see on this screen, here's kind of the weekly schedule. So we're just going to stick with this as the week one schedule, but it'll probably be the same as we go throughout the rest of the school year. So Monday and Wednesdays are when you'll be getting like a new video lesson. You'll have a practice worksheet to practice a new material as well. And then on Tuesdays and probably Thursdays, okay, if you can see on that slide, we have Thursday/Friday and the times are to be decided. But those days are going to be when we'll have a Google Hangout slot that you can just log on to if you want. I'll post the link for that. And that's just for you guys if you have any questions with homework, just need clarification, or you were trying the homework, didn't understand it, just wanted to see if you were on the right track, you can log on, and I will be available at those times to help you with any problems that you have for the homework. Okay, again, that is optional, so that's not something that that you need to log on to, and you don't need to log on to every single session. You can if you want, just to see the practice and what other questions students might be asking. But that's entirely up to you. And then we'll start over Wednesday, new lesson, and then Thursday. I will get the time specifically to you guys, probably by your video on Wednesday, if not before that. But right now, those will be decided. But probably another 3 meeting sections as well, one in the morning, afternoon, and towards the evening. They are only a half-hour section. I also have pre-calculus class that we'll be logging on for Google Hangout, so I want to make sure that I can devote enough time to each of these classes with whatever homework help you have. As always, though, you can email me with any questions as well. So there's your schedule. As we transition into this stuff, just a few questions. Hopefully you guys received the email that Mr. Bruce sent out, or have been watching and keeping up to date with some of the updates that Mr. Platt has also posted and shared. But the main question, 2 main questions that we get are, is it mandatory and how is this going to be graded? So, mandatory, this is Mr. Bruce's response, all of these quotes underneath of it. He said, you're going to get out of it what you put in. You will need to make the choice regarding the importance of your education. Our teachers will provide the lessons and information to you. You must decide what to do with that information. My recommendation is to remain on task and do the work. Okay? So you have this opportunity for the next few weeks to really just focus in on the education and the learning of this. So take advantage of that. Okay, I can't stress enough for those of you especially that will have any type of math class next year, whether that's math that you're going to see in a CTE class, math that you're going to see in a college class, or if you're taking pre-calculus next year, or even personal finance next year. If you decide to spend the next 5 months, okay, because you have those summer months as well, not doing any practice, you're going to really be hurting come the fall. So take advantage of these next couple weeks where you have some time and it's a little bit more low key for you to just really focus on the information and practicing all of that. Okay, and same thing kind of goes with grading as well. I know that there's some of you that are really focused on what letter grade or what numerical grade you're getting for that semester. That's going to be very different because of our circumstances right now. So it's going to be, you'll be given credit for that, not a very specific numerical or letter grade for that. Which some of you, it might be stressful for that. You might be a little bit frustrated with that. But also see the positive in that side. You really get to, for one of the first times probably in high school, just focus on the learning aspect of it and not the grading. If you're watching the videos, practicing the problems, and truly focusing on understanding it, then you'll be fine and you'll be set. So again, just if you have questions with that, let me know. It's a little bit different. I'm sure some of you are a little bit frustrated with it, but that's how it's going to be for the next couple weeks, and we're going to all kind of adjust through that. So put in the time to do some of these practice problems. Don't overdo it, okay? You don't need to be sitting at home for 16 hours doing schoolwork the entire day. But put in some effort, do some practice, make sure that you understand it. And if not, then jump onto Google Classroom or send an email to me with any questions. And do that for your other teachers as well. Okay? So those are just kind of some logistics as we transition into this online. If you had watched the video on factoring or did any of the review practice problems, factoring is going to come into play a lot as we learn rationals. So I'm just going to do a few of these problems with you. You guys can kind of take notes and jot notes down as you want, just kind of like with class. The nice thing though right now is that you get to pause it. So if it is going a little too fast, you can just pause the video and catch up on the work. So for the first one, we have two terms. The only thing that you can factor out of this one is you're looking for a greatest common factor. So what's the largest number or the most amount of variables that you can take out? In this case, you can only take out a 2. So we're going to factor out a 2, and you're left with an x plus 2. So when you take out a 2 from the first term, you're left with an x. Take out a 2 from the second term, you are left with just a positive 2. For your second one, you do have a trinomial. Okay, so we're looking at what the first number and the last number, what those two multiply to. And they need to add up to this middle number of 6. So we're looking for a multiplied to 9 and adding up to 6. If you remember earlier on in the year, if you have a 1 in front of that very first term, so here would have just been a 1, you don't need to do any of the splitting term with that one. Okay, you can just find the numbers for your factors and then write your parentheses with that. So numbers that multiply to 9 and add to 6, we can list all of them. Because it is a positive 9, that means you either need 2 positive numbers or 2 negative numbers. The only 2 numbers that will add up to 6 is going to be this 3 and 3. So your factors for this one become x plus 3 and x plus 3. Again, you don't have to do anything with splitting apart anything because you just have 1 in front of that. Okay? You guys can go ahead and try number 3 if you want on your own. So maybe stop this video right now, try number 3 on your own, see if you can follow along. Okay, so hopefully you stop that video and practice this. Again, you would just have a 1 in front, and you have a negative 28. So you are looking for numbers that multiply to negative 28 and add up to a positive 12. Okay, so we can list all of your numbers for that. Okay, if it's a negative, remember that you need to have, one needs to be negative, one needs to be positive. So I have a negative 1, positive 28, or I can flip the signs. You have a negative 2 and a positive 14, or a positive 2 and a negative 14. You have a negative 4 and 7, or a positive 4 and negative 7. And that's all that you have that will multiply to negative 28. So you can go ahead and go across and add them all up. The only 2 numbers that will add up to a positive 12, this is negative 2 and 14. So those automatically become your factors, x minus 2 and an x plus 14. Okay, so that's just your practice when 1 is in front of that. For number 4, here it's a little bit different. Now you have a 3 in front of that squared term. So this is where you do need to do that splitting apart, or there are some of you that like the cube, the grid system for that as well. You can do that. So we're going to take 3 and 5, multiply those together. That gives you 15. So you're seeing what numbers multiply to a positive 15 and add up to this middle term of a positive 16. So because it's positive, both numbers need to be positive or both numbers need to be negative. So you have 1 and 15. Negative 1 and negative 15. 3 and 5, or negative 3 and negative 5. The only 2 numbers that will add up to 16 is this first pair here, 1 and 15. And this is where it gets a little bit different when we write our factored form. You are going to split up that middle term, into a 1x and a positive 15x. Okay, and then bring everything else down in front. We're going to bring that 3x squared down, and we're going to bring that 5 down. So all we did here with our factors was we split 16x into 1x and 15x. Now we're going to cut this down the middle, and we're going to factor out the greatest common factor, or the largest number, and the most amount of variables that are repeated with both of those terms. So the only thing I can take out here is an x. Leaves me with 3x in the first place and 1 the second. For my second two terms, I'm going to keep this sign here, so it needs to be positive, and I can factor out a 5 from both of them. So I have a 3x and a positive 1. These two terms should match up. If they do not match up, then you need to go back and check your math. So that means your factors for problem number 4, one of your factors is 3x plus 1. Then your other factor is whatever's left over, x plus 5. Okay? So factoring is going to be extremely important. I'm going to stop this section of your video right now, and then you guys will get into the actual practice with rationals and intro into rationals starting on Monday.